In this video, we want to walk through how to create a new code enforcement case. So from your homepage, you'll click on Create Code Enforcement Case, and then you'll be directed to this screen where you can start entering in the data. The first field is about the complaint description. The next field is the complainant. If the complainant doesn't give you any information, say they're anonymous, then we can leave it blank, or if it was found while out in the field by staff, then we can leave that blank as well. Otherwise, we can add the complainant as a contact to this case. So I'm selecting Add Contact, and then the system requires you to search for the contact to see if they already exist in the database. So I'm going to search Daniel B, so first name, last name, and then hit search. And then it finds multiple contacts and lists them out. So we have 2 contacts in the database that match that search criteria. If one of these were the correct complainant, we can simply click on their name. If not, then we can click Create New Contact and fill in the contact's information. So the first field on the screen is the contact type. So they'll either be a resident or they'll be a non-resident. Then we can type in any other information that we have on them. Phone numbers, email address, if they had a different mailing address or part of a company name, we can track that information over here on the right side of the screen. Before we save this contact, we want to label their association to the case. So this one is the complainant, and then hit Save. Now we've associated this Daniel B to the file. Next, we want to say where the violation is occurring. So in here, I can type in street number, and then street name, or partial street name, and then hit the search icon to search the database for this address to populate the rest of this property data. When I search 1002 Box, I get 2 hits in the database. We have Boxwood Drive A and B. So if the complaint was on Unit A, I can then select Unit A and it will populate the property owner's name, address, and then the parcel number. One thing I want to point out is if this address has other files already created, this icon will appear, and you would then be able to see what else they have going on in that property. So it looks like there was already a code enforcement case opened on this date. It's now closed, and it was bugs in an apartment. Doesn't really relate to what we're doing, but we can then see the property history in a snapshot. The icon next to that allows me to map the address on a map. So after we get the address selected, we want to fill in a couple of things for reporting purposes. So how received? Was it a phone call? Was it staff? Was it an email? So we're tracking how received. And then also the category. So in this case, tall weeds would fit under the grass and weeds category. Once we get the top portion filled out, we want to fill in the bottom portion, the activity. And this is where we're scheduling the inspection to be completed. So in the activity dropdown, I'll select Code Enforcement Inspection, and then I can select the inspector that I want to go out and do the inspection. So I'll pick Joe. The start date and the due date and the completion date are very key. The start date is the date that it starts showing up on the user's homepage. The due date is the flag that shows that it's overdue. And then the completion date removes this activity from the user's homepage, labeling it as completed. So the start date, we'll pick today. Due date, we can either pick today or tomorrow. So this is scheduling this inspection for Joe, and we're scheduling it for today or tomorrow. We'll leave the completion date blank, and the status can be scheduled. And at this point, once I click Save, this code enforcement inspection on this property is going to be assigned to Joe's home page. So I'll click Save. Once I click Save, it creates my file number. So the file number is the identifying number to this case. So it's going to be a 2-digit year dash a 6-digit sequential number. This number does not repeat, so it's unique for this case. And then we can see the property information here under the History tab. Below on the History tab we have any kind of notes that were added or an audit trail down here at the bottom. We can then view the contacts that were added, any activities. So here's the Code Enforcement Inspection. It's under the Activities tab, and we can see that it's scheduled. There's no documents uploaded yet, no violations yet, and no fees yet. If we wanted to add anything, upload any pictures, or anything at this point, we can use the blue toolbar on the left-hand side to add multiple addresses to this file, another category, additional contacts, documents, emails, fees, run reports from here. So now that we've entered in the complaint, we can complete the inspection that we created and assigned to Joe. So Joe now has this code enforcement inspection for that file number at that address on his home page. To complete this inspection from the field or after the fact, Joe would just need to click on the Code Enforcement Inspection activity to be directed to that file's inspection screen. From this screen, we can add violations, add notes, upload photos, and generate documents. So to complete this screen, we'll want to first add any violations that we found. When I click that first icon, I get this drop-down. And here I can select different code books. I can either search for the code by the code number, or I can search by the code description. I could also just start typing into it, and it will find my code description and matching code number. If I wasn't sure that this is the correct violation, I can use this 3-dot icon for more information about this code. And then that will pull up the full description of the violation. If I wanted to schedule a follow-up date, I can enter in the date that I want to come back out to this property to verify that they've cleaned up their weeds. So I'll pick a week from today. If I wanted to add notes to the homeowner about what I observed, I would type them in here so that they're tied to this violation. So in here I would say something along the lines of if I had another violation, I can quickly save this screen and add another violation. Or if this was the only violation I found, I can click Save. Once I save it, I'll be prompted which activity or inspection type that I want to schedule for the follow-up. So I'll say Code Enforcement ReInspection and click Yes. So that's now I've added my violations and I've scheduled a follow-up inspection. So next I want to add some photos that I found while I was doing my inspection. To add photos to this inspection, I will click the paperclip icon and then select Files. If I was out in the field using any kind of phone or tablet device, I can say take a photo and it will open up my camera. Once I find where my pictures are stored, I can then select my photo that I'm uploading. And then in here I can label the source, which violation it goes with, a short description, and then hit Save. So now I've uploaded my photos, I've added my violations. I'm going to complete my inspection activity. This is marking that it has been completed and they failed the inspection, meaning that I did find a violation. And from this point, I want to generate the first notice. So I'm going to click the paper icon, and then it shows me my property owner's mailing information, and I can select my first letter of violation. So this is my print preview. I can take a look at that all the dates populated correctly, the violation down here populated correctly. If there's any edits I need at this point, I can click Edit, or I can print, or I can simply save it. So you would want to print, and then save. So saving this screen here is going to save my inspection, and then also save a copy of that first letter to the Documents tab. Now I can go back and reprint it if I need to, or just track when that letter was printed from CitizenServe. At this point, I'm done with this first inspection. I've added my follow-up, added violations, created my letter. I just need to mail it out. If I go back to the Activities tab, we can see the first inspection has been failed, and then the second, or the reinspection, has been scheduled for that 10/25 date. So now I'm done with the file. And on 10/25, this activity for reinspection will show up on my home page. Now we're going to complete the reinspection for that same file and close the case because there's no further violations. So from the home page, I'm going to click on the reinspection for that address. It's going to take me to the reinspection screen. And if I wanted to go and look at the previous notes on the file, I can click on History or go look at violations. But if I see here tall weeds in front yard and I go to the property and there's no longer tall weeds in the front yard, I'm going to say that this inspection they had passed, put in the date that I did the inspection, and then click Save. Now that all the activities have been completed on this file, it's asking if I want to close this file. If I click Yes, I'll walk through the steps of closing everything down on the file. So the next prompt is saying that there's open violations. Would I like to close those? Yes. And then I have my disposition and close date. So the disposition could be that the case was abated or transferred or complied. So I'm going to say they complied with the first notice, click Save, and now the case is closed. We can see the status is updated, the close date has been entered. Down here in the notes on the file history, it shows all those items have been closed. The case is complete.
And that is the end of our code enforcement training.